Welcome to Tea with Tanya. I'm your host, Tanya Ambrose, an average millennial navigating life as a maternal health professional, nonprofit founder, and grad student. Join me in the tea tasting room where we spill the tea on finding balance and promoting positive living while doing it all. Welcome to a new season of Tea with Tanya. I am truly excited to be back here in the tea tasting room with you. We're going to be diving deep into the essence of goals, whether we accomplish them or not, because sometimes we have to start over when life doesn't go as planned. Because life has many different twists and turns and can leave us feeling disoriented or uncertain. But definitely we're going to explore the power of resilience, adaptability, and self-discovery on this season of Tea with Tanya. I do want to do something slightly different this season because I am an average tea lover. Like, I love tea. The podcast is called Tea with Tanya. And let me tell you, it legitimately means that the tea with me, not only am I sharing the tea as it relates to health and wellness, self-development, and all these different things, but I legitimately am a tea lover. Because let's be for real, I'm from Antigua, and everything in Antigua, if you have a pain in your finger, we're going to be drinking tea to cure that. We highly believe in drinking tea for many different health benefits. So I'm going to share the tea of the week, the tea that I'm drinking while I'm recording this podcast, or the tea that I may have had more than once in a week before I record a podcast. And I'm just going to share a little bit of a tea history and the health benefits of said tea. I am an avid lover of peppermint tea, and that's my drink for the week. That's my tea for the week is peppermint tea. And a little bit of history of peppermint is that it is a minty herb native to Europe and Asia. And for many, many years, people have used peppermint both as a flavor for flavoring as well as for its medicinal properties. And many, like myself, do drink for the taste, but there are other health benefits of drinking peppermint tea. And I'm going to share some briefly. I'm going to briefly share some, but I chose the ones because I found this on Medical News today. But I chose the ones that really resonated with me and the actual reason why I love drinking peppermint tea. So some health benefits of drinking peppermint tea. You have fresher breath. It helps to fight bad breath. And we know we can't be out in these streets not having fresh breath or, good breath. So that's definitely, when we talk about our oral health and breath health, that's a benefit of peppermint tea. It also aids in better digestion. And that's one of my favorite things about peppermint tea, because I am trying to promote, have a better functioning digestive system, and drinking peppermint tea has been helping with that for me on a personal level. And for my period girlies, my menstruators, if you're someone who suffers severe cramps or a lot of cramps during your cycle, it serves as a muscle relaxant. So drinking a cup of peppermint tea can help with alleviating your period cramps as well. So definitely, these are some of the health benefits that resonated with me. I will be sure to share the link in the show notes where you can go and read all the other health benefits as well. Another thing that I want to bring back to the podcast is going to be the affirmations of the week, because I am someone who I'm on this journey. I've been on this journey for a while, but I've been committed and consistent the last several months of affirming myself, because I truly believe in life and death being in the power of the tongue. And the more I affirm something or affirm myself, the more I see an improvement or I see change in my life. And this is something that you guys liked when I did on the podcast earlier, but of course I fell off because, sometimes it happens. So I do want to bring it back because I want us to affirm ourselves as we embark on this new season together as well. So the affirmation for this week is, I have the power and ability to achieve my goals. The affirmation for this week is, I have the power and ability to achieve my goals. Now, let's get into the episode. And I've been thinking, okay, what can I talk about on this podcast episode? Because there's so many ideas that comes to mind. There's so many things I've been doing as a person for personal growth and development that I do want to share with you guys on this podcast. But when I think about it, life has a funny, funny way of surprising us, especially when we least expect it. We tend to set our goals, we'll make plans, and then we'll envision a future that seems perfectly aligned with our dreams. And if you can relate, and if you just hit that 5-star rating or whatever, or just do a little fist pump or hallelujah praise, because I'm telling you, we tend to set our goals and we make all these plans and then we envision a future that we think is perfectly aligned. And then guess what? Life throws us a curveball, leaving many of us feeling lost and questioning everything. I know about me. As soon as something goes slightly wrong, I start questioning everything, or my brain goes to the most negative thing you can think of, because here I am having all these plans, ready to take my action steps to achieve said goals. And then sometimes life say, you know what, Tanya, not today, not this time around. So it ends up leaving me, and I'm sure if you can really, it ends up leaving you questioning everything that you would have essentially planned. So I'm going to take a moment to explain or share a personal story of my own. Some of you may have heard this before, some may not, but I am going to share it because I think this is part of my evolution journey. It's why I am the woman that I am today, and as I continue to grow. Because there was a time when I found myself at a crossroad where my life had carefully it just seemed like it was just crashing down, and it was disheartening. It made me sad, it made me depressed. But then very quickly I realized that starting over essentially was not a setback. And that moment that I'm talking about is when I failed out of nursing school. Let me tell you, by zero point 0.5 points, because I'm going to always add that zero point 0.5 points into my story. I became severely depressed because I'm like, you're from the Caribbean, your parents have certain goals and expectations for you. You have certain expectations for yourself as well. And then when you work so hard only to fail out of a program by 0.5 points, it's devastating. It is definitely devastating. It's a setback, because in my mind, I was already operating from a disadvantage in the sense where, again, I had set my goals and I thought that by 2013, I was going to be done with nursing school. I was going to be working. So me failing out of a program in the year 2015 was not on my bingo cards, because one, I was already operating 2 years behind of my initial goals that I had set for myself. So while going through that period, it was a setback. What am I going to do? And I remember, you know what? I'm going to pick myself up. I'm just going to find different options. What can I do to get back into a nursing program? Because surely waiting 2 years at a nursing school was not going to be it for me, because I'm the kind of person that when I'm at the letter A, I expect to get to Z in no time, like faster than Usain Bolt. Okay. And I remember just researching different schools and applying and realizing that really and truly having to start over. I got into a nursing program, started the semester only to be told that my transcripts were audited and I could no longer continue in the nursing program because I failed from one nursing program, and they were of the philosophy that failing out of one nursing program, it simply means that you can't excel in our nursing program. But that's another story for another day. And then while still trying to reinvent myself, still trying to do something in the healthcare field, I went and took my exam to get into the respiratory therapy program. Passed the exam with flying colors, got into the program, registered. It was about time to start the program. And I told myself, this is not my dream. This is not my goal. This is not what I set up for myself. Why am I going to waste money, time, my brain, energy into doing something that's not genuinely what I wanted to do? So I had to take a step back again, decide what I was going to do. And I started, taking different electives until I figured out what I wanted to do. And that, of course, landed me into public health, where I got my public health degree. And now I am a public health professional thriving in my career. So that's summing up my failure in that moment many, many years ago. But I was realizing that it was an opportunity during that moment that I thought was a setback. It was an opportunity for me to reinvent myself and pursue a path or paths that truly aligned with my values and my passion. And that's what that moment of failing out of nursing school, getting accepted into a nursing program, to be told that, we can no longer have you in the program, to being accepted into another program, but realizing that this was not the dream or the goals that I set for myself 5 years prior. So I realized that by embracing the unexpected, I really and truly discovered a renewed sense of purpose and a greater appreciation for the journey rather than the destination. And that's somewhat a mantra of mine. And many of you, if you're listening, you're probably thinking, okay, I have a 10-year plan. I have a 5-year plan. I want to be done with school in X amount of years. I want to advance. I want to get a promotion. I want to have a business. I want to do all. I want to be the best content creator I can be. I want to have 15 million YouTube subscribers, or I want to have a certain amount of podcast downloads. I have those goals too. But realizing that when you have to steer off course for a little bit, because again, life is going to throw that curveball, it gives you a sense, it's that time to give you a sense of renewed purpose and greater appreciation for the journey rather than just the destination and getting there. So when we are faced with unexpected challenges, our perspective really and truly plays a crucial role in shaping our response. So instead of viewing these moments of failures, because that's what I have to do, instead of viewing these moments of failures, what if we were to see them as opportunities for growth and even transformation? Because let me tell you, life can be a roller coaster ride. It can take us to incredible highs, and like I mentioned earlier, it can take us to unexpected lows. We set goals, create plans, and then here we are. Boom, something happens. So we definitely have to realize that it's in that moment we got to reflect. And for me, we're in a new year. We're midway through 2023, and every year, like from the last 3-4 years, I would create me a vision board. I'll buy 1,000,001 planners. Don't ask me how many planners I need, but I just cannot help myself. I'll buy many different planners. I'm buying the posters. I'm buying the little boards and the printing my pictures at the local CVS so I can create my vision board to obviously visually see what I wanted to accomplish. And I did that when I was in my undergrad doing my Bachelor's of Science in Public Health. Many different things that I had on the vision board, I was able to accomplish. Some I didn't because, one, I didn't have the discipline to accomplish these goals. I didn't have a plan, and I wasn't necessarily leaning into my faith or, contemplating. I was more in the contemplation stage of planning my goal. So I always made it a mission to think about setting realistic goals. And the beginning of this year, I was very, very slow to writing out what goals I wanted to accomplish for this year. I did the same thing last year. At the top of the year, actually, I had my plans. And then by the middle of the year, I did not accomplish not one thing. And that made me really sad. It made me feel less of a person. But this year, as you grow, I'm thinking to myself, okay, on January 1st, I didn't have not one plan of what I wanted to do. Well, I'm lying. Let me backtrack, guys. I did have a plan, or had many plans rather, but I was not putting added pressure on myself to accomplish all of them in a short time frame, because I am the person that I create a plan, I need for it to happen right away without realizing or leaving room for a curveball or something to happen, especially given knowing that I'm a nonprofit founder, a podcast host, I have a 9 to 5, I'm a doula, I'm doing all these different things. But when I plan, I was not planning in mind of something could go wrong. So I guess what I'm trying to say to you is that sometimes we have goals, but we have to set realistic goals. I know you've all heard about the SMART goals, and what does that mean when it comes to planning our goals. We got to be specific. We got to be measurable. We got to make sure it's achievable. Think about how relevant that may be as well when it comes to your goal and the time frame in which you want to achieve said goals. Sometimes many of us, we're out here planning goals with no clear direction. So what is the objective of your goal? What will be done? How are you going to do it? How, in what time frame do you want to achieve said goal? Is it realistic? Is it unrealistic? Because in my mind, the way how I operate, all goals are realistic and achievable. But really and truly, the time frame that we set for ourselves is not always realistic when it comes to achieving your goals. But I would have been home in Antigua this past May for an event for my nonprofit. And while it was vacation, it was still busy. But in my quiet time, I was able to sit and realize that I have been too hard on myself. And I'm sure you can relate, where we're thinking when you're in the thick of things, and you're in a moment where you have all these plans, and it's very hard for you to see the things that you've actually accomplished. Sometimes it takes someone coming to tell you, I'm proud of you, or I see you and see what you're doing, for you to actually realize what you've done. For me, I was doing a lot. And I've had people telling me, Tanya, I don't know how you do it. Sometimes I myself don't know how I do it. And I realized that one of the goals that I set up for myself, even I have goals for this podcast, I have not reached all of them. I have reached some. And by reaching some, that meant I was consistent. I've been having an episode every Tuesday since the beginning of this year. That is a huge accomplishment. to me and for me because I was not always consistent with my podcast. But I was specific with my goals and I told myself that I wanted to be consistent by posting an episode every week for the entire year of 2023. That has been my goal. That was not something that I recognized or realized that I was doing up until last week when I took a brief hiatus just to recuperate and to get myself ready for the upcoming season and to go where my heart was leading. I hired, or I don't want to say hired because it's not hired. I am working along with a amazing podcast editor who has been pushing me beyond my imagination. She pushes me, and it's a cause for me to be consistent, for me to show up for you who listen to my podcast every week, for me to be committed and continue to realize that my voice will be heard to its intended audience. That's a goal that I accomplished. I wanted to get to a certain amount of podcast downloads by my birthday, which was on May 26th. Did I meet that goal? I did not. I did not. And the old Tanya would have been severely upset, sad, wanting to give up. But no, when it comes to growth, and what I've realized with goals is that we have to leave room for improvement. We have to leave room for setbacks and continue to stay the course when it comes to thinking about what goals you want to achieve and how does it look for you as well. And I talk about starting over because, when you fail, you may not accomplish a goal. We're in month 6 of the year. If you're like me, sometimes I'm putting that goal back until another day or another year. So in my mind, if I didn't accomplish this goal, it's going to be accomplished in 2024 because I don't want to deal with that now because I have to now think about the goals for the latter half of 2023. And that it shouldn't have to work that way. Because starting over can be daunting. But then we have to remember that it's also an opportunity for you to grow. And you have to also allow yourself to grieve the loss of your old plans or dreams. And I've had to do that when I fell out of nursing school. I've had to do that when I had to reprioritize what is important to me now in this current phase of my life. And there are a lot of things because I'm multifaceted. I'm multi-passionate. Let me tell you, my hand is in almost everything you can think of. But I've had to reevaluate, can I accomplish all these goals if I'm not focused on what's more important to me? So I've had to reprioritize and I've had to grieve the loss of those old plans or dreams. Some of the dreams, they're still similar or still in alignment. But when I'm realizing that I can no longer put or give my all or give all my attention to some of the goals that I've created, it took a toll on me. Because I'm a kind of person that I was told by my therapist that I'm an overachiever. And not in a bad way, but that's something that we're working through. So I'm the person that I want to make sure that everything I set my mind to, I want to accomplish. And of course, you have peers and you see that they're accomplishing some of the goals that you want to accomplish. And then you can get that imposter syndrome. You can start thinking, okay, if this person who's within the same age group as me is accomplishing this particular goal, why can't I be here? And I've had to deal with that. So I've had to grieve the loss of my old plans because my old plans weren't in alignment with who I am now as a person. So acceptance is key. It's very important. It's crucial when it comes to starting over and thinking, okay, I didn't accomplish this goal in this time frame, but you have to really accept where you are in your life now and analyze if it's worth it to work towards this goal when that's not the person that you are anymore. And secondly, definitely take small, manageable steps towards rebuilding your life as it relates to your goals. Set realistic goals and celebrate each milestone. I would have mentioned that I didn't realize that some of these small things I accomplished, I was so busy in the moment, so busy thinking about the next week, that I didn't realize that I accomplished something that was so significant to me, even though it may have been small. So you want to definitely take time to celebrate each milestone. If you're a content creator, think about it. If one person listens to your podcast, if one person watches your YouTube channel, if one person likes your TikTok video, your Instagram reel, comment on a post, you want to celebrate that. Because for me, let me tell you, I used to be deep in my bag of, oh, this person is not liking my post, or I'm not getting this amount of reach on a podcast episode or on a Instagram post. And it's like, no, we have to celebrate the one person who may have liked your post. When I first started my content creation journey as a blogger, my motto in life, or the thing that I would say to myself, was if one person reads my blog post, I would have done my job. And back then I was just much more centered. And then, you get caught up in social media and see the success of other people who may have started out with you. And sometimes you can get bitter, we can say that, but definitely you want to learn to set a realistic goal and celebrate each milestone. And surround yourself with a support system, friends, family, even a mentor, even your therapist who can provide guidance and encouragement and perspective to you along that way. Because let me tell you, a phrase of mine, one of my mantras in life is nothing happened before its time, or the race is not for the swift. And these are phrases that I would constantly recite to myself whenever things don't work out or go my way. So I no longer stress about failing out of nursing school. I no longer stress if I can't do something in the time that I set myself for. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to give myself grace. I'm going to listen to my body. I'm going to listen to where I'm mentally at a particular point in time. The race is not for the swift, and nothing is going to happen before its time. A year and a half ago, almost probably 2 years when I started this podcast, I had absolutely no direction as to what I wanted the podcast to be. I know I wanted to talk about public health stuff. I wanted to talk about self-development. I wanted to share my journey in whatever I was doing, but I had no direction. I was just getting up one day and telling myself, okay, let's talk about this topic. I wasn't doing no research. I wasn't doing absolutely nothing. And then here I am 2 years later, investing into my podcast, taking it as a serious job, prioritizing what I want to do as a podcast host, investing in an editor to assist me because I need help. And I'm not afraid to say I need help. It's not, it's been a one-man show over here for a very, very long time. And now I have a partner in content creation who's there to push me, take some of the burden, the stress off of me. So definitely nothing happened before its time. I didn't see this coming. If you told me 2 years ago, oh yeah, you're going to have a podcast editor, you're going to have a direction of your show, you're going to do deep research into a topic before you even bring that topic to the podcast, I would have laughed. No, before I do any episode, I have to research the topic to ensure that I am, like I like to say, I'm serving you. So definitely nothing happens before its time, and the race is not for the swift. I made a promise to myself this year, and I want you to make a promise to yourself as well, to be a better person. We all think we're good people, but there's always room for improvement and for growth. And just like you, and just like myself, we all make mistakes, and we have made mistakes. But you definitely have to go. I would recommend going on a self cleanse, because for me, that consisted of finding my true self and my purpose. And that trip home to back to Antigua, when I was just the brief moment that I had to sit back and see the event that my nonprofit organization was having, a health expo. That essentially was a dream that I made a reality the second year in a row. And it was bigger and it was better than year one. Like I know I mentioned setting realistic goals. Sometimes you do have to take the leap. We'll talk about that in another episode this season. But you do have to take a leap when it comes to some of your goals, because you know what? When you reprioritize what you want to focus on, it makes it somewhat easier for you to achieve and accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. Okay, so you definitely want to do that. And that was one of the things that I saw when I was back home and I was in my self-reflection moment. I was like, okay, did I accomplish all my goals? I mean, granted, we have 12 months in a year, but if you're like me, you're going to set in 3 months, I want to accomplish this. In 2 months, in 2 weeks, in 1 week, whatever it is. So this is the time for us to sit and self-reflect and realize, are the goals I'm setting for myself realistic? What even are goals? Like, what do you even consider to be your goal? For me, one of my goals is to be consistently putting out podcast episodes. One of my goals is to get to a point in time, which I'm there sort of there, I'm not there fully, but it's for me to batch record my podcast episodes so that I can get them out to my editor in a decent amount of time, so that I have nothing to worry about. I'm getting ready to go back into, I am in grad school, but I'm getting ready to start the semester, the fall semester, in a matter of 2 months. I can't be out here, as we like to say, willy-nilly recording an episode on the whim. I cannot do that. I have to, especially if I'm trying to enjoy life as well. So one of my goals is to get to a place in time where I can batch record an entire season and not have to think about that season again until it's time for another season to come. That is one of my goals. One of my goals is to tap into my health and wellness. It's for me to get back in the gym, for me to eat better, for me to really and truly take my health seriously. It's unfair for me to be in my job, being a public health professional, telling people XYZ, and I'm not living the life that I'm telling you to live. So I want to be authentic in who I am. So that's one of my goals, being my authentic self, which I have been, as Beyonce says, comfortable in my skin. One thing I will say, I am comfortable in my skin. Of course, we all have different flaws and alls or different things that we don't like about ourselves, but definitely just remember that things can change. We may not accomplish the goal in the 2 months that we set out ourselves for. We may not accomplish our goal in the 1 year, even then, but we'll check in at the end of the year. But you may not even accomplish a goal that you may have. Keep going. Because at the end of the day, you have to leave room for improvement. And then you have to maybe even ask yourself, am I taking the necessary steps in order for me to even achieve the things that I want to? And that's the question that I had to ask myself. Because to be transparent really quickly is, for me, I was expecting, I had an entitlement issue, whereas I was expecting certain things to happen for me in a certain time frame for many different reasons. And I had to quickly get myself together. I didn't wait for somebody else to get me together. I had to get myself together because, again, who am I to think that I'm entitled for this to happen? I have to actually put in the work. So that's what that is. So I will say, starting over, and sometimes you may not even be starting over because, again, you may not even start working towards that goal, or you may have to revisit how you approach that goal. So starting over or revisiting can sometimes be overwhelming, but it's important for you to remember that it's also a time of immense possibility when you got to start over or reflect on the goals that you set for yourself. So we're going to explore a few strategies as I get ready to wrap up. We're going to give you a few strategies that can guide you through the process of starting over or revisiting your goals and help us to navigate this territory or uncharted territory that we have ahead. And these are some things that I've been doing, honestly, personally. I'm not always perfect when it comes to it, but these are some things that I've been doing. And it's embracing uncertainty and letting go of expectations. Like I spoke about being entitled or having certain expectations a few seconds ago. So one of the reasons how we can guide through some strategies as it comes to starting over or even revisiting some of our goals is embracing uncertainty and letting go of expectations. Taking inventory of our skills, strengths, and passions. You want to set realistic goals and create a roadmap for success. Seek support from friends, family, even professionals, whatever that may look like for you. And definitely embrace self-care and practice self-compassion. Give yourself grace, because sometimes we get so caught up in not achieving something in a particular time frame. We have to practice or embrace self-care and definitely practice self-compassion. Okay? We definitely have to do that. And as we near the end of this episode, I want to remind you that life's unexpected detours are not roadblocks. They are invitations to reimagine our futures. One of my life slogan again is turning stumbling blocks into stepping stones. So I will say, I want to remind you that life's unexpected detours are not roadblocks. They are just simply invitations to reimagine our futures. The process of starting over or even revisiting something allows us to tap into our hidden strengths, explore new passions, and definitely discover the person we are meant to become. And that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Tea with Tanya. If you like this episode, be sure to share it with a friend. Don't forget to follow on Instagram at Tea with Tanya Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the weekly Tea Talk newsletter. And of course, rate on Apple or Spotify and subscribe wherever you listen. See you next time. I love you for listening.